That's the project.
I leave Elise without hearing her answer. I could tell she was going to say no. I've seen Elise's magical ability. Her affinity with magic is excellent, not to mention her ability to connect with people. Rallying the Proles to our cause would be easier with Elise on our side. She would make an excellent Libertin. Oh well, it's a pity, but I can still do this without Elise. I'd just love her to join our ranks if possible. It's as much about saving her as her saving the others. It's funny. At night, the Proles streets are seemingly more alive than the streets in the city. Some people stand outside their houses, huddled together while drinking and talking and laughing. Noticing me walking closer, a man exclaims,
"It's Amadeus!"
The others turn their heads, and their liveliness turns into cheerful excitement, awakened by their shout of
Amadeus! Amadeus!
More people come out of their houses. There's no discontent on their faces. As soon as I hold my steps, the people crowd around me.
Amadeus, one of your men came this afternoon and delivered mana potions.
Thank you very much, Amadeus. The potions were very helpful.
You're welcome. But the Libertins are not my men. They're my brethren. As are you all. A warm smile appears on everyone's faces.
Thanks to the mana potions, we won't have to buy water anymore. We never knew that Eric was able to summon water that's clean enough to drink.
The man who just spoke points to a bashful young man next to him, who is chuckling silently.
Amadeus, look. My roof won't be leaking anymore because my son has repaired it using earth magic.
He reinforced my house wall, too. I don't have to worry about my house collapsing while I sleep anymore.
And our rooms are brighter now, thanks to Mary's illumination magic. We can finally say goodbye to the oil lamps.
A teenage girl puffs out her chest and says boastfully,
Leave it to me.
I'm glad you found the mana potions useful. Just as I finished my sentence, I feel someone tugging lightly on my cloak. A jaunty and childish voice calls out,
Amadeus! Amadeus!
I turn around to see a little boy about 9 or 10 years old, with a grin that stretches from ear to ear.
Amadeus, look at me!
The little boy stands with his feet apart and his hands open, inches away from his thighs. Faithfully, he looks up to the sky. Starlight reflects on his glossy eyes. The boy's body floats up into the air, slowly gaining altitude as he raises his arms up, trying to grasp the distant stars with his tiny hands.
I'm flying! I'm flying!
Still looking up at the sky, the boy levitates higher and higher, his body almost 20 feet above us at this point. His joyful laughter reminds me of the time when I first cast the levitation spell as a little boy. What man does not dream of soaring through the sky? The boy is now high enough to enter the building next to him through its 3rd-story window, but he keeps moving skyward.
Amadeus! Amadeus, are you what?
The boy looks down at me, then suddenly falls silent. All his excitement is gone. He stares wide-eyed at the ground with open mouth.
It's so high.
Calm down. Don't panic.
I'm going to fall. I'm gonna fall!
The boy's arms and legs are flailing as he desperately tries to push his body towards the building nearest to him, like a swimmer who struggled to reach the shore after his legs suddenly cramped. Luckily, he is able to grip the ledge of a window before he stops levitating.
Help! Help me! I'm gonna fall!
With his magic power completely gone, the boy no longer floats. He is holding onto the window's ledge with all his strength. Try to calm down. Breathe slowly. The boy tries to breathe, but he is anything but calm. Now cast the levitation spell again.
I can't! I can't!
You can. You just did it.
I can't! I don't know how I did it!
It's transform on faith. You can do it.
No.
In his panic, the boy has lost all faith in his own magic. he is unable to save himself. If he falls down, he won't walk away from it with just a scratch. In fact, a fall like that could kill him. I ask the people who are watching in horror, "Can anyone use the levitation spell?" Everyone is silent. A man answers with trembling voice.
I can, but I can't levitate something as heavy as a man's body.
What about a little boy's body?
Not at that distance.
That's true. Most magicians need to be close to their target to levitate an object, unless their magic is very strong. I know someone whose magic is strong enough to do that, but unfortunately, he isn't here right now. Can't we open that window from inside?
The owner isn't here at night. The door's locked.
Of course. It's not a house. What luck. The boys shaking hands tell me he won't be able to hold on for very long.
Can't you save him?
A man asks me. The others plead to me with hopeful gazes. That's right. I'm these people's savior. Only I can save them. Seeing no other choice, I jump against a sturdy drain pipe and grip it with my arms. I can't use my artificial hands for gripping, so I have to use the crooks of my elbows to hold on to the drain pipe, kicking my feet to push my body up. The boy starts to wail loudly, his body trembling. My own body is also shuddering as I put my left forearm onto a ledge and push down as hard as I can to pull my body up, careful not to slip. From below, I hear sounds of people murmuring to each other. I continue to scale the wall, relying on 2 good feet, 2 forearms, and a lot of willpower to carry myself upwards. Ignoring the pain in my arms and shoulders, I drag my body up the wall. I can hear my teeth grinding. I'm now at the 2nd story, halfway there. When my feet find footing on a window ledge, I take a deep breath before jumping up and grabbing the top of the window with my elbow crooks, using the upward force of the jump to make pulling myself up easier. I wish I could have taken 4 or 5 more deep breaths, but the boy is almost out of breath himself. Ignoring the pain and exhaustion, I keep crawling up. Almost there. I can almost touch the boy's foot if I extend my arm. Hang on. I almost got to you.
No, I can't hold on anymore.
Wait. Just a little more. The boy's hands finally give way. He is falling from above me. No parts of his body are in contact with any parts of the building. In a flash, I plant my feet against the wall, let go of whatever my stumps are holding to, and kick backwards. I manage to catch the boy in midair, but now we're in freefall. At least the boy is safe because I'm holding him in my arms and shielding his body with mine. The fall may kill me, but he will survive. Huh. I guess this is it. The end of Amadeus. Oh well, not that it matters anyway. How many times have I wished for this? I thought my death would be more glorious than this, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. I feel as if I were falling in slow motion. Maybe time does slow down, the moment just before you die, as life gives you some extra time to lament hopelessly, struggling in vain to escape death, fearing how your consciousness will turn into nothingness. Joke's on you, life. I'm not afraid to die. Wait, something is wrong. I am falling in slow motion. I feel a gust of wind on my back. It's blowing upwards from below, slowing down the fall. A wind that blows from the ground to the sky can't be natural. Someone is using a wind magic spell. I reorient myself until I'm in an upward position, the boy still clutched tightly in my arms. A few seconds later, my feet touch the street. I release the boy and let him stand.
Yes!
The first thing I do once I've righted my posture is to look for the person who has just saved me. I don't have to wonder long. because I find her right away. Jude. The woman stares back at me, disapprovingly. I was going to say something to her, but a cry from the little boy interrupts me.
Thank you for saving me, Amadeus. I was so scared. I thought I was gonna die. Why did you wait until we fell to use your magic?
I didn't use any magic.
Huh? But...
She saved us, not me. I make a gesture with my prosthetic hand toward the silent Jude beside me. The boy stares at her with puzzled eyes. You should thank her.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
The boy looks at me again.
Amadeus, why didn't you use your magic to save me?
I gaze deep into the boy's still wet eyes for 2 seconds, then bring my face closer to his left ear and whisper, because I can't use magic. Pulling my face away, I see confusion written all over the boy's face. Listen to me, son. Take very good care of your hands. Don't let anything bad happen to them. Don't ever lose your hands. Protect them. Your hands are your life. Your hands are your identity. They represent your place in society. They're what make you human. It's better to lose your head than to lose your hands. The boy doesn't seem to understand what I'm saying, but that's okay. He will understand someday. I walk away, leaving the dumbfounded boy and the other people who are standing in amazement at what they've just seen. Let's go, Jude. Jude walks behind me. Jude and I amble along the muddy street in silence, only occasionally speaking to greet some people whiling away the night outside their houses. The night is cold. It's already due December, but it seems winter isn't going away without a fight. Finally, we arrive at a small house in a small alley. The dark and chill of the night are swept away by Jude's fire. The flickering flames and the sound of crackling wood coming from the hearth comfort me. Warmness spreads throughout the room. What the warmth fails to melt, however, is Jude's frosty stare. You should try smiling more often.
You should try getting yourself killed less often.
Her tone is sharp, but I can tell her heart's not in it. Would you rather the boy died?
You know that's not what I meant.
What would you have me do then?
I don't know.
Jude's wistful stare penetrates the floor. At last the anger melts away from her face, revealing sorrow. Then there's no point in worrying about it. She lifts her head again to look straight at me.
You could have died.
I know. I was prepared to. I am always prepared.
Well, I'm not. I'm not prepared to lose you.
The anger and sorrow now blend together, marring her lovely face. I wish I could make this face brighter, but there are more faces out there that need brightening.
Are you going to just die? After I saved your life?
Not without a purpose.
As if a purpose would lessen my grief.
I'll be careful. I promise.
Do you?
It wasn't really a question. Finally, Jude sighs away her ire.
Just don't die, okay?
I'll try not to. It must be maddening to hear my non-committal answer, but Jude doesn't pursue the matter. I understand her frustration, though. Jude, how many times have you saved me?
I don't know.
She lost count a long time ago, just like I did. But I'll never forget the first time she saved my life. I had woken up in a strange room. My hands were gone. I stared blankly at the bandages wrapped around what was left of my forearms, wet and red with blood. The nasty stench of blood mingled with the smell of cheap disinfectant and the foul air inside the room. The dirty mattress was drenched with my sweat. Its cotton stuffing had long lost its firmness. But none of this bothered me. Not even the pain in my forearms, excruciating and agonizing as it was, bothered me. My eyes were still fixed at the empty air where my hands should have been. A plain-looking woman was beside me. Her lips opened and closed, but I couldn't hear what she said. My hands were gone. Both of them gone. My life as a magician was over. My future as a mage was over before it had even begun. And then I fainted again. Jude had found me lying unconscious on the street after my hands were cut off outside Maison de Beauvoir. She took me to her house and nursed me until I got better. Losing so much blood had brought me to the edge of death. I could only lie in bed day after day for weeks and weeks, even after my arms had made some recovery. I still lacked the energy and the will to get up. The sight of Jude's ceiling was far more soothing than the life that awaited me outside. Outside was scary. What was a man to do without magic in this day and age? During this time, Jude took care of me like a mother would take care of her baby. She changed my bandages, fed me, bathed me, helped me with every little thing that I could no longer do myself. It was shameful. I begged her to stop caring for me, to throw me into the sea, to dump me among the garbage, to leave me in a junkyard to rot. Anything but suffer the humiliation of living the life of a man lower than any man. But Jude continued to care for me. She nursed me back to health until, one day, I got back up. But life wasn't kind to me. There was nothing I could do without magic. I couldn't even work in a factory. There was literally nothing I could do. I had entertained the idea of going back to the city to find my parents, or at least figure out a way to contact them. But I soon gave up on that idea. How could I show myself to my parents like this? A cripple, incapable of, and had no hope of ever being capable of, casting magic ever again. An inability to use magic is no different from a mental handicap. I couldn't burden my parents with my worthless life. It was better they assumed I was dead. I was completely hopeless. If there is no magic, there is no hope. All I could do was sit on the side of the street and wait for a passerby's pity. But life in the Proles district is hard for everyone. No one had money to give to a mimsy man who had nothing to contribute to society. On a good day, begging earned me enough to buy a small loaf of stale bread. In the end, I had to rely on Jude to provide for me. But Jude wasn't a wealthy bourgeois. No matter how hard she worked, factory labor only paid so much. She barely had enough money to feed herself. We shared what little food we had, enduring hunger most days. We shared murky water to weather the sizzling summer, and we shared shabby blankets to survive the dead of winter. And so now, it was not only I who suffered. This woman who had saved me was made to suffer for my sake as well. Pathetic. I prayed to the gods to return my magic, but my magic never returned. I prayed to the gods to help me, but no help ever came. I screamed and bellowed and cried to the gods to save me, but they never did. Still, I prayed. Each night before I fell asleep, I prayed to the gods, "Don't wake me up tomorrow." But they never listened, as was the case with all my other prayers. This nightly prayer was never answered. Can you imagine waking up feeling dejected every morning because you're alive? Disappointed that you woke up, despite every effort not to. Curses. I'm still alive. That was my every morning. It still is from time to time. I wished for relief. I wished for an end. An end to my suffering. An end to a dream that would never be. An end to a false hope. An end to everything. I wanted to die. From time to time, I thought of taking my own life. I imagined dying. I tried to figure out an easy and peaceful way to go out, preferably one that would inflict the least amount of pain. But I never tried, and not trying made me feel even more pitiful. I hated my life. I wanted it to end. I wished for the gods to take it from me, and I was too much of a coward to do it myself. Pathetic. But each time that I saw Jude, I knew that I couldn't kill myself. I owed her too much. She'd been struggling every day so that I could live. If I threw away my life, I'd be belittling the battles she fought every day. I didn't want to disappoint her. And thus I trudged through misery upon misery, sat silent as life spat and shat on me, just so I didn't die. Yet, I wasn't living. I was merely existing. Then, one night, I was sitting and begging in a narrow alley, as I always did every day and night. People ignored me as usual, their faces heavy with the burden of their own lives. Having not earned a single coin, I decided to move to a farther street near the city area. Maybe more people would give me money over there. Before I stood up, I spotted something unusual. A nobleman wandering through the Proles streets. His aristocrat jacket glistened even when the street was lit by only oil lamps. He strutted haughtily through the alley. For a second, I thought he was an aristocrat I knew. A man who had robbed me of my magic, but no, this wasn't that man. I got up, dragged my feet, and stopped in front of this nobleman with my head hanging low. "My lord," I pleaded in a low voice, "could you spare me some coins?" I didn't know if this man was a lord, but I had come to calling any bourgeois and aristocrat my lord regardless. Sometimes it appealed to their generosity, but apparently not this time. With my head still lowered, I peeked at the man's face. His icy glare was mean and demeaning. Disgust colored his face as he studied my malnourished figure. And then, his gaze traveled downward and found my arms. His eyes widened. The glare changed into a curious stare. He stared silently for a few seconds, before a wicked, derisive smile formed on his lips. Not long after, the smile changed into laughter. A loud, drawn-out laugh that echoed throughout the alley. Satisfied, the aristocrat's face settled into a ridiculous smile. He asked in a conceited voice,
"What are you doing in Overture with arms like that? If you can't use magic..."
The man continued, as hate creeped into his condescending tone.
"You're just a liability. You're just taking up space. Your existence is wasteful. And you dare ask money from me?"
The nobleman burst into a spiteful laughter again.
"Go earn your own money, scum! Oh wait, you can't! You're just a piece of garbage without magic!"
I felt small under his verbal abuse. I wanted to talk back, but I couldn't. Not when I knew that everything he said was true. But his words infuriated me. If only I had my hands, this man wouldn't be able to talk to me like this. If only I had my hands, this man wouldn't be able to walk home tonight. But then again, if I still had my hands, none of this would have happened. "I'm sorry," was the only thing I could weakly say before turning and shuffling away. As I faced away from the man, though, he kicked me hard on the back. I fell forward hard. Dust flew up into my eyes when my cheek bounced off the pavement. The man pushed a foot into my back. He thundered at me.
"This is your place, you scum! Since you're no better than a cockroach, you should crawl like one. In fact, why don't you cut off those legs too, to match your arms?"
He pressed down harder. Straining to turn, I tried to get a glimpse of the man. He was stepping on my back with his right foot, while his other foot was rooted to the ground to the left of my waist. I placed both stumps of my wrists next to my head, and with all my strength pushed myself up. Then, as fast as I could manage, I swung my left leg at his left foot. I swept him off his feet, and he crashed to the ground with a loud thud. I could hear by his yell that it was painful. I got up and ran, determined to flee as fast as I could. But no sooner had I begun to run, I sensed his willpower.
Summon!
2 steps ahead of me, the pavement rumbled and split, uncovering dirty soil from which a solid rock formation shot up at me. I never expected the attack. The rock hit my chest hard and sent me backwards. The pain was unbearable. I was once again sprawled on the ground, though this time I lay on my back.
You little piece of shit!
The enraged man swaggered closer.
I was going to let you go, but now I think I shouldn't let you live. You're just garbage anyway. The police wouldn't even bother to have you buried.
He reached down and grabbed my shirt collar. I felt his willpower again. It reminded me of another arrogant aristocrat who also fought with willpower once upon a time.
Nullify!
Gravity disappeared. The man swung his hand upward and effortlessly hurled me into the sky. My body only stopped going up after hitting the roof of a 3-story tall building. I didn't fall back down because there was no gravity to pull me back to Earth. The man's shout came from below.
Do you like it up there? No? Well, by all means, I'll amplify gravity and get you back down here in a hurry.
Even without the gravity amplified, falling from this height would kill a man without fail. Is this it? Are the gods finally granting my wish to die? But suddenly, at that very instant, I didn't want to die. Not like this. Not in the hands of some arrogant aristocrat prick. Especially if the man reminded me so much of that man. I looked around me for anything I could use to keep my imminent death at bay. And then, I found something. The end of a hose was hanging off the edge of a nearby rooftop. I hooked onto it with my crippled arm. This would provide me a way to escape the rooftop, which was the only sensible thing to do. But that's not what I did. I pulled on the hose and found its end. Nothing was attached to it. No water came out of the hose because gravity was nullified, but I could see some water inside. I aimed the hose at the aristocrat.
Amplify!
The man roared. Sensing the return of gravity, much stronger than it was before it vanished, I squeezed the tip of the hose between my bandaged stumps. The water inside the hose roared to life in the newly amplified gravity. It spurted out the hose in a thin but strong jet of water, shooting straight at the aristocrat. The water jet moved at a deadly speed. It covered the distance to the magician faster than the eyes could follow. When it struck the man, he recoiled as if stung by a bee, and then collapsed. The sudden impact instantly stopped his heartbeat. With his life gone, so too was his magic. Gravity returned to normal. I held onto the hose using the crooks of my elbow as tightly as possible. The short time gravity was amplified had accelerated my fall, but holding onto the hose had stopped me from hitting the ground. After I righted my posture, I could only stand in silence. My mind was a blank. I was saved. I had killed a man. My eyes found the body lying still in the alleyway. I just stared at it, waiting for him to come to. I couldn't look away. I couldn't blink. But he was certainly dead. His mouth was agape. His eyes were open as wide as the gates of hell that he had by now no doubt been welcomed into. His arrogance, too, was gone. The aristocratic face, now as hideous as any man's in death, spelled horror. Death. My lips twitched. A frantic sound of breathing escaped my already gaping mouth. Then, laughter followed it. A year's worth of laughter. I laughed and laughed. I laughed louder than this very man had done earlier. I hadn't felt this... What was this feeling? Happy? Wasn't the right word. free. I hadn't felt this free, this liberated in such a long time. My barren laughter continued to fill the night. I couldn't stop. Every time I looked at this man's frozen face, his shock, his panic, his regret, I was compelled to laughter. The sight of his lifeless body was curiously gratifying. It was majestic. There was glory in his death. My laughter subsided, but still I looked. What I felt next mystified me. Envy. If death was this glorious. Finally able to move, I limped over to the nobleman's corpse and examined his body. In his pockets, I found mana potions and money. A shit ton of money. There was a time when having this much money was normal to me. But after living the life of a beggar for more than a year, seeing this amount had become unimaginable. The money in his purse, mere pocket change to a man like this, was enough to provide for me and Jude for months. My gaze drifted to the mana potions. I stared and stared long at them, my eyes unblinking. Now here was something I hadn't seen in a very long time. Mana potions were useless to me now, but I still found their soft blue tint mysteriously captivating. And then I realized something very important. I just killed a magician. I came out victorious against a magician in battle, even though I had lost my ability to cast magic spells. Maybe life wasn't as hopeless as I thought. Jude would have still saved me had we not met in the factory. I think she saved me because she knew Elise would have wanted that. In a way, I owe my life to Elise too.
We finished all the preparations. Let's hope we'll all succeed.
The revolution must happen. We've got to stop Joff Godwin and MM before they begin manufacturing analytical engines.
On Moon Day, we will completely seal the conference hall, so no one else will see the So, no one will see the demo unit before the big reveal on Fire Day. Does this arrangement work for you?
Yes.
He just censored himself. What is it that they don't want me to hear?
Let's go! Project!